They sat together in the park as the evening sky grew dark. She looked at him, he felt a spark tingle to his spine. 'Twas then he fell into the water and wished that he'd gone straight and watched out for a simple twist. He walked along by the old canal, a little confused, I remember well. Stopped into a strange hotel with a neon burning bright. He felt the heat of the night, getting like a freight train moving with a simple twist. A saxophone far away played as they walked on by the arcade. Yeah, the melody rise and fade as the sun was coming up. He dropped a coin into the cup of a blind man at the gate. Forgot about a simple twist of fate. He woke up and she was gone. He didn't see nothing but the dawn. He got out of bed and put his clothes back on. He pushed back the blinds. Found a note she left behind, but he could not concentrate on anything except a simple twist. He hears the ticking of the clock, walks alone to the clouds, hunts it down by the waterfront docks with the sails all coming. Maybe she'll pick him out again, but how long must he wait? One more time for a simple twist. People tell me it's a sin to know and feel so much within. I still believe that she was my twin, but I lost the ring. She was born in spring, but I was born too late. I blame it all on a simple twist of fate. People tell me it's a crime to remember her for too long a time. She should have caught me in my prime. She wouldn't stay with me. Instead of going back off to sea and leaving me to meditate, I'll blame it on a simple twist. Well, it was in the summer of '39, and the sky was full of lead. Hitler was heading for Poland, Paddy for Holyhead. Come on, you big strong Paddies, and you long distance men, don't ever work for McAlpine, for Wimpy, or John Glenn, where you'll stand behind the mixture till your skin is turned to tan, and they'll say, get on your Paddy with your boat fare in your hand. The crack was good and Crickle would, and they wouldn't leave the crown. There was glasses flying and Biddy's crying because Paddy was going to town. Ah, mother dear, I'm over here and I'm never coming back. What keeps me here is a rake of beer and the women and the crack. I come from County Kerry, the land of eggs and bacon. And if you think I'll eat your fish and chips, be Jesus, you're mistaken. As down the glen came McAlpine's with their shovels slung behind them. Was in the pub that they drank their sop, or down in the spike you'll find them. They sweated blood and they washed down mud with pints and quarts of beer. And now we're on the road again, like our minds do. I stripped to the skin with young darky way down upon the Isle of Grain. With a horse face too that I learned the road. No money if you stop for rain. McAlpine's God is a well-filled heart with shoulders cut to bits and steered. And woe to he who looks towards me with McAlpine. I remember the day that the Pharaoh fell into the pumpkin's head. What the horse face said when he saw him dead, it wasn't what the rich called prayer. I'm a nappy short was his soul retort that ever reached unto my ears. When the going gets tough, well, you must keep up. Like our eyes do. I worked till the sweat nearly had me dead, with Russia, the Czech, and the Pole, and chuttering and up in the high road down, or underneath the fence in the hole. I grafted hard and I got my cards and money guy goes just across my ear. If you find your life, do not join by. I got mine. If you find your life, do not join by. I got mine. Greetings. That was a lively one, right? I think there's an extra verse that I had, definitely an extra verse that I had. So I was sort of hesitant there. I was expecting an extra one and a little pause as well. I had to sort of flick through the lyrics. It's been so long since I sang McAlpine's Fusiliers. That's when I sang about 20, 25 years ago, just when you're doing the rounds or whatever. The old Irish on the Irish paddy, dumb paddy on the building side always comes up somewhere. Let me just see if there's an extra verse below. No, that's too short for 3 verses. Maybe I sang 4 verses, did I? 1, 2. No, that's probably right, actually, with the big preamble. So the big preamble sort of the speaking part took away. Oh, hang on. So I didn't realize this. Dominic Behan wrote the spoken beginning to it. I didn't realize that. I can relate to McAlpines. Anyone who's worked on the building sites knows McAlpines, or again Wimpy, or John Glenn, or John Lang, all the slave drivers. Yeah. But yeah, it was in the year of 39 when the sky was full of lead, when Hitler was heading for Poland and Paddy for Holyhead. Come all you pincher laddies, and you long distance men, don't ever work for McAlpine, for Wimpy or John Glenn. You'll stand behind a mixer and your skin will turn to tan, and they'll say, get on your paddy with your boat for in your hand. The crack was good and Cricklewood, and they wouldn't leave the crown, with glasses flying and biddies crying, because Paddy was going to town. And mother dear, I'm over here and I'm never coming back. What keeps me here is the reek of beer, the ladies and the crack. Come from County Kerry, we always sort of insert Limerick there, the land of eggs and bacon. And if you think I'll eat your fish and chips, be Jesus, you're mistaken. Not that the English themselves aren't familiar with eggs and bacon, of course. No, sorry, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's hardly an Irish thing. You have a greasy spoon in every corner, or used to have anyway in England, where these were a staple part of the diet. But yeah, McAlpine's Fusiliers. Oh, did I skip out a verse? I didn't know it. Sorry, I'm just looking at this. No, I didn't. So it's 4 verses and 1 preamble, so that's nice. Yeah, that's a story of, I have my own experience on the building sites in London. If someone already presumes or assumes you're a dodo, even before you've met them or they had the chance to know you, just because you're from a certain place with a certain accent or whatever, you know, and even though you try to put them right and say you're not a dodo, you're not a fool, but they won't listen, well then you just pretend to be a dodo, won't you? And then when you prove not to be a dodo, that'll be a surprise to everyone except yourself, of course. Like, you know, and more fool them and more dodo them. I was thinking about the dodo tonight, and the flat earth. Flat earth first. Flat earth will turn clever people into dodos. It will. Because now I was just looking at Pancho Pete's channel, and Pete's been out about the town. Good man, Pete. You know, what to do is a next question for all of us. What I'm tending to focus on is a different thing, but yeah, it's only a matter of time at this stage before everyone becomes aware of the flattened stationary Earth. So as Pete said rightly, he's the one who's looking out for these people's children. He's the one who wants us to sort of wake up and smell the coffee and realize that all the lies and the deception is not good enough for the innocence of our children or the adults themselves, you know. And there's a certain love and a certain a clear passion that draws Pete and people like Pancho Pete to do these things. All of us in our own way, I guess, you know, and we all want the same end, and we're in the process of this transformation at the minute. So we can see it. I think it's becoming clearer and clearer as the days go by, and we're all doing our bit, I guess. You have to do your bit in real life. You have to do your bit within yourself, come to terms with this new realization, and then sort of figure out where the hell, on a personal note, where do you need to go from here? Because after all, ultimately, this is all a personal journey. It's a complete personal individual's journey, and no one can tell the individual the truth. You can be helped along the path. You can be guided along the path, but you can't be told which turns to take and which general direction to go, or, you know, specific directions over general direction. This is the point, and this is where we learn to trust our own internal compasses, and this is where also we learn to sort of know ourselves, to come to know ourselves. We are the player here. You know, you level up, energize. This is all within our capabilities, and then we can take on the next step of the game. So this is where I'm at this stage. I've had a few comments just saying how stupid everything is that I've been talking about, and I just need to see psychiatrists. I'll say that is it Dawn Trader, Dawn Treader? Let me just check. I don't mind. You made it clear yourself that not to take you seriously, and I don't. But one thing I do understand is, yeah, Dawn Treader, UK. You're mental, like, I mean, that's fair enough, but my point is you're not aware of what I'm talking about. You're just jumping in the middle and you're going, this doesn't make any sense, and therefore the person who does not make any sense to me is a raging lunatic and deserves to be locked up and put into fuck you, man, you know. You know, politely. Fuck anyone who would say that. I wouldn't dream of saying that about you. if I was to sort of make any type of comments like that, I've never made any comments like that really ever to anybody. I don't think in real life or in this arena here, based on their point of view, no matter how elaborate it was. Where I'm at here, you have to have a sort of somewhat understanding of many different conspiracies and come out the other side of them, and then take that with you as you move forward. If you're not a flat earther, the dodo's not for you, you know. And beyond, it's the dodo and beyond, by the way, as well. It doesn't stop at the dodo. The dodo is just a step, an island along the way. It's a destination, solid ground when you connect the dots. And that's what this is. I want to talk about a few things tonight. I'll say greetings to everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll get to the chat in a bit. I hope that was okay. I haven't played the first song, beautiful song. Again, not doing it justice, but and I also kind of, you can play it sort of softly as well. Set together in the bar as the evening sky grew dark. She looked at him and he felt a spark to look to his bar. Well, then he felt alone and wished he'd gone straight. How much that for a simple twist of fate. I probably wish that if I had my time back again, I might have played it a bit softer like that, but I haven't played it in years. And at this stage, I'm running out of songs to sort of open the, not running out really. There's plenty of them there, but again, I'm just not practicing any of them. But these are some of the songs I used to like and play in the past. So yeah, sorry, opened with that simple twist of fate. That's what brings us all here, right? A beautiful line at the end. People tell me it's a sin to know and feel too much within. I still believe that she was my twin, but I lost the ring. She was born in spring, but I was born too late. I blame it on a simple twist of fate. Well, you know, I think ultimately this is all about the separation within all of us, you know, male being separated from female, female from male. I often talked about the men's and the females' parts, genitalia, you know, reproductive parts. Pretty much the rest of it is the same, but the reproductive parts, one is sort of like a shadow of another. You know, one is a jigsaw piece, one is the hole that the jigsaw piece fits. And again, one was taken from the other. This is what I take it, that Adam and Eve and the rib, taking the rib, all that sort of stuff. This is part of Genesis 2. This is part of life outside. We think of your stereotypical flying saucer. That's the shape and nature of the dome. To get out of the barrier. It's not it's an electromagnetic barrier. It's a force field holding back waters, which is in a state of disrepair right now. So we're getting back to is a state of repair. I'm going to talk about a few things tonight. I'm going to go back to The Economist 2016. 2015 cover. 2016 cover was shit after that. There was nothing there. There was a few things there, but you know, it wasn't. This was special. This was somehow made to be special. And as I say, I connect this into 3 years. So it's 3 years to 2018. Here's what we're looking for. This is the map. This is the treasure map. Just to comment on Dawn Treader, yeah, that's just to finish that comment. It's not going to be for many people. It really isn't at this stage. I can't see what else to sort of focus on. And that's what I'm going to talk us through tonight, just a route here and how do we get here, and well, defining where we are, and then where do we move on to. Everyone will be at a different stage. Ultimately, I think we're all going to the same place. So I say the dodo is our story. It kind of pertains to all of us, and this is the solution to the Economist World magazine, the cover of the Economist 2016 World magazine. You know, we talk about the money makers, the bankers, etc. The rich people owning everything, controlling everything. This is their magazine, and this puzzle. I'm sure anyone who knows the score has worked that out pretty easily. They must do. It's not a fiendish puzzle. But having said that, we need lots of different pieces of information to sort of put it all together. And that's where flat Earth is the glue that binds all of the information here. When I went back and looked at the Economist magazine, I already knew the solution. So all I needed to do was to expand upon the path I'd already found and take it to its conclusion, and then see how I could make that connect with the solution I'd already come by, which is the dodo. The solution is Mauritius, first of all, the holiday island, and then the dodo. So the dodo then is our next level up. And that's 2015. Here we are, 2017, 2018, it all comes to a climax. So I think we're well ahead. That's what I've said the last time. Again, I will go through it from the start, and maybe Dawn, if you're listening, Dawn Treader, if you're listening, maybe you can maybe after you've listened, you'll be able to follow it a little clearer and see that these are definitive lines of inquiry and definite connections. And the more you go on, the more everything beforehand proves to be true, because all the little threads connect and wrap around each other into a sturdy rope. So that can bear and take its load. So yeah, that's the overall picture. Yeah, and that's where we're at. Everyone is at a different stage. That's all you can say. I mean, there are so many antagonists now out there. You have to have recognized them by now. I'm not just talking about the baller antagonists. They're making it more obvious as well. This is why I think they're all actors. So as time goes by, the people who stick to the same diatribe, the same rhetoric, same objections without moving an inch forward will be spotted immediately for what they are and discarded. And then we move on to something else. So that's what are they protecting? What are we to move on to? Well, I'll tell you what we have to move on to. We have to find out who are actors within the flat earth side. And identifying yourself. Again, there's no judgment on the man or the woman. I do believe now they're all playing parts, aware somewhat, if not to a big degree, of the greater picture. So, but you're not. I'm not. So that makes it a different game for us. So we have to recognize the opponents. We take these opponents seriously. You could get wrapped up. Your whole game could get wrapped up because you're afraid to tackle them on some issue, or you're afraid just to walk by them. You find when you walk by them, they're ghosts. They're nameless and faceless for the most part. So again, you can cast those people aside. They will have you bogged down in different enterprises. Again, I guess it's depending on what stage you're at. I've definitely moved on from them. Not that you're not interested in the arguments or the discussions, but also your mind is elsewhere, and you understand that you left this stuff behind. We know the earth is flat and stationary. You're not going to waste too much time and energy convincing faceless and nameless people, for the most part, that it is, when no matter what evidence you present, no matter what arguments you give, they'll be refuted and they'll be denied. So we got to move on from there. If anyone saw Paper Explanator on the channel last Saturday, and the next time, Ireland, anyway, if you're in the chat, Ireland Van Vicious, if you're in the chat, right, next time you're welcome, man. But I will tell you before, I want to hear from you in very clear and detailed terms why you have rejected a flat and stationary plane. Again, anyone who I haven't heard that from Lord Stephen Christ as well. I haven't heard he's just straight in the concave Earth model, so straight without having gone through the process of flat Earth. I'm at flat Earth now. I consider it concave, convex, consider all models. We live locally. The best we can say is locally we live in a flat Earth. That's the best we can say. What lies beyond the ice barrier, which is the shape of an oval, like the path of the sun. The path keeps the ice at bay. Where the ice is where the barrier and the waters beyond meet the land. So you have drippage. We get rain from above. As we get rain from below, as we get evaporation, the rain is fed from above as well, from the barrier. If you imagine a force field holding back waters, and then you have an immense power being reflected against that, it's going to cause some disruption. This is what the sun does, is it makes its daily trek. You don't need any Pac-Man. You don't need any Pac-Man models, any 4D models. The dodo is the literal flat Earth arrangement all you need. That's why I haven't put out a model. I haven't. I mean, I'm not bothered about that. I understand that the knowing what the shape of the Earth is, it answers a few questions, but it doesn't get you. It doesn't answer a whole hell of a lot of other questions. It's more to the puzzle, and indeed, once you get to the dodo, in terms of all of this puzzling, there's more to it, right? There's a bigger. The puzzle hasn't finished there. Let's say the dodo is at level 4, right? So once you get to the dodo, and you combine that with Paul is Dead, the Sergeant Pepper puzzle, which I've declared solved as well. I've declared that to be solved, right? And that's a 50-year puzzle, and it's ongoing. And again, Jarface claimed to have solved it in Pro Boards, and that was back, he said, 42 years after Sergeant Pepper's, and he picked that name purposefully. He didn't incorporate Flat Earth or the dodo. So yeah, he hasn't solved it, but he has gone a long way into telling you how to solve it, or to show you what sort of means and methodologies you can use. And again, it's all about mirroring. It's all about flipping, and it's because I think everything is in water as well. And if we understand the reflective nature of water, we can understand so much. We can understand sunsets, sunrises. We can understand how a light traveling around a contoured surface will create many different types of effects. They talk about the sacred geometry attached to all the different planets. That's because, and I'm telling you this now, I'm telling you, that is because they're all part of the sun wheel, the sun disk, which is it's the interface of a broken tree, right? So if you think about the flower of life and how you would draw it on a piece of paper, you would draw a circle with a radius and compass, and you move the compass point to the side and draw an arc from one side to the other, to the center, and then you just keep moving your compass points around. And that's all once you keep doing that, then you get the circle of life, right? The flower of life. Now, when we look at all these sacred geometry patterns that these planets are said to have made, well, it's not because these are bodies orbiting in a special fashion around the sun. It's because they're part of the sun interface, the broken tree. I said it's a lightsaber. The sun is a lightsaber. You take the tree off, right? Imagine you had a conductive fiber optic tree with all of what you can connect whatever light you want at any what do you call it, termination point. But just imagine putting that on top of your lightsaber and then putting the lightsaber on. You have a very different effect than if you took the tree off and just shone the lightsaber. That's what the sun is. The tree has been removed. The lightsaber interface is just the surface. It's the cut surface, if you will. That's when we look at the moon, we see these craters. These are tree craters. The tree is crystalline. This is what we're seeing. So it's Jimbo talked about magic mirrors, Chinese magic mirrors. Yeah, pretty much, except it's not a mirror. It's a light energy connect up through the end, the lightsaber reflecting off the barrier, the contour barrier above. And we have to know the shape and nature of the contour barrier, and we do indeed know that as well. That's where that's encoded. So let me just go through it briefly again. Should I take that from there now? Well, see, I don't have any structure to when I speak like this, so I just try to wrap it all together, and it does wrap together. My main point here is that the dodo is not the end goal. So he might be level 4 or she, and yeah, so level 5 is the next one, the last level, Act 5, if you will. So yeah, we're beyond that. And when I solved the economist cover, that's Act 3. So I was already knew the solution, having solved the dodo puzzle, and knew then that's where it would lead to, because at the very front of the page you have the turtle missing his payload. And again, what's fact is fantasy, what's fantasy is fact. Everything is mirrored, everything is reversed. This is just this is game rules, you know. So yeah, that's where I'll start. I made a few very interesting observations, and again, everything's just tying together. I said the biggest number of all is 420. It's 420 years since the dodo was discovered. He was discovered, mind you, with giant turtles and elephant birds, who were native to Mauritius as well, and were also made extinct. Elephant birds. I mean, It's too obvious, isn't it? So the minute you get the puzzle, see here, let me go through it in the chronological order. So the minute you get the answer to the, let's say you just come at it blank and you have a few ideas, you just come into flat earth, you know nothing about the dodo, so you understand that the turtle is missing something. Hang on, I can associate the turtle with you know, the elephants and the flat earth. So he's missing the flat earth off his back, and the elephants, if you want to look for those as well. Well, then you get to the end of that puzzle and you're going Mauritius. So I'm pointed out to Mauritius, and you know, the first thing you do then is you get to the dodo in Mauritius. Mauritius is famous for the dodo, is also honeymoon island. But you've gotten there from the clues. Let me just say, yeah, I can go through that again. It wasn't a ghost. It was a condom. It was a condom, which is indicative of lovemaking. And what happens to be the final clue? What happens to be the neighboring island of Mauritius? Well, it's Reunion Island. And I've also talked about the division within ourselves from the male and the female. This is what it's all about as well. It's a reunification of everything. So it's all beautiful and it's all fitting together perfectly. The idea is here as well. This is a puzzle that's been ongoing, or this is an endeavor that's been ongoing 420 years. We're dealing with powers that we have no idea about. This is all you can say. All this stuff is just genius in the extreme, you know, and maybe it's a sort of a taste of the genius that's dormant within all of us, you know. Yeah. So this is again, it's not going to be for everyone's ears, but it should be. It should be, because yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, after you've got there, after you've got the puzzle of, and this maybe even applies to anybody, even the richest men in the world could know there's a puzzle, and now they're looking at The Economist magazine and they're trying to work it out as well. You know, they're going to get led to the dodo. It's pretty simple. Mauritius and the dodo. Now, what do we find out about the dodo? Well, the dodo, when you look at Wikipedia, well, the dodo was found, it was discovered in 1598, and was found in Mauritius, which is an island of giant, this is how it's described, giant turtles, an island of giant turtles. So there's your giant turtle connection. That connects you then to The Economist, right? And you move forward from there. And I've moved well forward from there. I've moved way on from there because, yeah. So you know what I mean? As you're going through it, you're making your way through it. So I hope I'm not spoiling anybody's fun, but that's too bad. I mean, it's too bad. But this is not, I'm not out for making money here, and I'm not out for views. I don't look back at any of the videos or anything like that. So for the most part, it's me talking to myself, but I'm also talking to anyone who wants to listen as well. Let me go through. So let me start. Okay, let me bring out the fact that ties it together. Another fact that ties it together again. 420 is the important date. So there's always a date set before. How would you put it? Reopening. That's maybe a good one. You know. And that date was 2018. That's it. It's 2018. If I'm pushed for a more specific date, and I think it has to be as well, it's the 8th of the 8th, 2018 now. 8 August and July, I think, will be taken out. And then you'll be left with a different month. In October then will be the 8th year. Like September is the 7th year, or 7th month, 8th month and 7th month. So you know what I mean. It doesn't have to be specific like that. Again, we're living in a broken system. So all of the measurements and things that we count on as being solid don't turn out to be solid at all. And even having said that, you think that a meter is solid, right? Or you think that a kilogram is solid. Or you think that a second is solid. You know, go and find out how they're defined. Go and find out how they're defined. That'll bring you to think again, you know. But these are all aspects of a broken system, as it all is indeed. Just to talk about the flower of life as well. You see the pattern that Venus follows, right? Just imagine the disk itself doing the pattern. Imagine the disk itself. There's a sun disk, right? Imagine Venus here. Imagine Venus. So this is the moon. This is look at the moon. Pick a point off center. Let's say, so Venus, I'm thinking, could be, if you look at the full moon, Venus will be somewhere in the middle, or else it'll be somewhere on the outside. But let's say it's not somewhere on the outside. As the sun does its circle, Venus is going to move in a certain circling pattern, isn't it? And its different points will be regular. So you could say that either it's like relativity, isn't it? Either the sun is moving or Venus is moving. But what if Venus was part of the sun phase And all that was happening was the sun was being projected onto a contoured surface. Again, look at a UFO, a flying saucer, I should say. This is the idea. I even think that that's what encodes a flying saucer, traditional view we've been given for a flying saucer. So it ties in exactly with the image I was looking for. You have a bubble in the center, protected north center, which is our home. That's the ultimate puzzle. That's the ultimate answer. It's the ultimate. I have only a few things that, in terms of the puzzle, anyway. If anyone can put me, if anyone thinks I'm wrong about it, and there's something else I need to figure out, well, let me know, please, and I'll see if I don't have an answer for that. Again, just for myself, or else if I'm wrong. If I'm blatantly wrong, I want to know if I am, or if I don't want to mislead anyone, and I hope I'm not leading or trying. I'm certainly not trying or intending to lead anyone. So yeah, that's what's happening, and yeah, to see again encoded within Mark Sargent is out 2 years now. So I've actually wondered, you know, it's a good experiment to see how many days were there between the release of Mark Sargent's Clues and the cover of, or the Economist 2015 magazine coming out. I bet you it'll be a significant number of days. I look into that myself afterwards. Mark Sargent is key to everything. All flat earthers point back to Mark Sargent. Mark Sargent himself is pointing to Sergeant Pepper's, right? This is what it is. It's been acknowledged a few times, and again, this is not going to be for everyone. Someone will tune in and say, Shay is waffling on again. Cool, you know, that's fine. Let me waffle on then. I'll go into chat in a few minutes, by the way, again. So 420 is the key. 420. So I'm just preambling this because I'm going to give you this fact as well. So 420 is the key. It was always 420 years that the relaunching was set for. I guess that's internally. Remember, we're the power here. We are the real motive force here, and I think we are powerful beyond measure. And I think more and more of us are coming to realize that this has to be a simulation of sorts, a creation of sorts. You know what I mean? So this is not all of us. This is not it. The atheists tell you that this is all it. Well, again, they're playing the opposite role. Everything is mirrored, so they're playing the opposite of the truth. These people know the Earth is flat and stationary. They might even have a grasp on the bigger picture. And again, I pointed out it could be a sphere on a grander sense, but on a local sense, the Earth is flat and stationary, as we know it. So that's fine. They're playing a role. But the people who will be made, this is the beauty of it, the people who'll be made to look like dodos are the clever people. And as Pancho Pete was showing there in an interview, I said it myself, I said I can make shit of anybody now in 10 minutes. I don't give a shit if you're the top astrophysicist or the top scientific man in the world. I can make shit of you in 10 minutes, just on a personal argument, me saying a flat Earth, you saying a spherical Earth. I know how to do it. It's pretty simple. Got to get back to basics, get back to being dodos, you know. That's why I'm not ashamed to say je suis dodo after every show. I don't give a fuck, man. Not that I don't give a fuck. I understand that there's greater significance to that statement. And I'd gladly say I am a dodo. But the dodo also represents something else. And that's that's what I know. And if you don't know that, again, well, that's fine. Again, it's like the comparison on the building site. Everyone thinks you're stupid already. Let them think it. Let them think it. You tried to put them right on, you know, but they're so attached to their presuppositions or their stereotypical knee-jerk reaction that they're going to have when they hear different information. So yeah, you just gotta let it be, can't you? Actually, I'm just hang on a sec. I'm just looking at something here. Okay, that's interesting now. Let me share that screen in a second. Actually, I'll do that in a minute. What? Okay, I'll share my screen in a second now because that's interesting. There's writing everywhere. I found, you know, if you've been listening to some of the stuff here, as far as I know, I found first to find I'm the first of a few things. I found the sex in the clouds in the blue 1972 marble. So you reverse it, you invert it, and there, right before you, is sex in the clouds. You can't miss it, you know. I solved that. This is not about anything else. I'm just saying I solved that Economist cover. Absolutely 100% solved. No doubts about it. And I've also solved, and if anyone has done this before me, I don't know about it. Certainly, it will be from an independent, on an independent basis. You know, even though all knowledge is sort of comes from somewhere. But yeah, I've solved the Paul is dead. Paul is dead. Sergeant Pepper's puzzle. So, the walrus is Paul indeed. Yeah. And Paul McCartney went on to form the band Wings. So again, that's where I was led to before that, which was the wing of the dodo, the hidden hand, the HH, and then that leads us back to the sun, 420, and rebuilding, and the end date in mind, which was 420. So that's always been the situation. So that's the most important number, 420 and 33. I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through again the Economist cover to show you. 33 is illumination. 33 is just, well, you've come to realization, and you're getting a grasp on the greater picture. So, yeah, 420. So here's the great significance. Einstein died at 76. It was either 67 or 76, but it was 7. It was 7 times 6 anyway, which is 42. They can't give you the answer, but it's close enough to the answer. Again, everything is reversed. Normally, you knock off zeros in gematria. You know, this is what we've been told across the board: knock off the zero. Well, now we're adding it, 420, and it's only then that significance and the dodo significance comes into its own. Again, it's a lot to swallow, a lot to take in. But yeah, 2018. If you add up the numbers, you have 11. It's all about 9/11. I'm going to connect this in a second as well, and you'll see just how it connects. And I said we're into 10. We have SpaceX, we have the X Factor, you have triple, you know, all this sort of stuff everywhere. There's X's everywhere now, so we're in the middle of the 10. And yeah, 11 will see us in 2018. So so that's gone from 9 to 10 to 11. 10 is about division, right? 11 is unity, equality. And 9/11 is intricately connected to all of this, and I'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, so there you have the 10. I said we were in the midst of the 10, which is the X. So how does that connect to what I'm about to say? Well, it connects beautifully. It connects beautifully. I've said since 9/11 that, well, I haven't said since 9/11, but I mean, when 9/11 happened, it was the same as everyone else, just follow the official story. Didn't, you know, even though I seen JFK, they put JFK out for us, like, to understand that there might be different things going on here. But anyway, when I got to investigating 9/11 conspiracy in 2010, within 4 or 6 weeks, I landed to where I am now. And it wasn't that difficult to do. It wasn't that difficult to do. And yeah, that was 7 years ago now. It was 7, oh yeah, fucking hell, 7 years ago, honestly. That was 7 years ago now. And yeah, you have to come out and realize this. You have to realize that it's theater, you know, you have to realize there's a greater meaning behind it. And the greater meaning behind 9/11, well, again, your answer is look to the building. Actually, I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up to show you in a bit. I won't do it now, and I'm going to bring it up in association with the Economist cover as well, because I'll show you exactly how it connects. So yeah, 9/11. So that's 2010. When it came to be Trump and Hillary Clinton, yeah, I read the signs. I knew Trump was going to be elected. He was front and center on 9/11, doing an interview for German TV. He wasn't talking about the victims too much. He was even green screen. You can even see it was green screen. And it's the same green screen backdrop that they show you Building 7. You know, they're encouraging you. People are going, well, look at Building 7. That shows you some level of conspiracy. Well, they fucking fed that to you. You're gonna get engrossed in what they fed to you, and you're gonna miss the greater picture. Don't be a dodo. Come on. Again, this is for dodos, but it's not for dodos, you know, because you have to have made your way through this. You have to sort of have come out the other side. Anyway, Trump. Okay. Trump was set for president. Ever since then, I would have put the house on it. I knew it. I would have put the house on Trump winning. I would have put the house on Patriots winning Super Bowl. I knew it, just Patriots and Trump building the wall, you know, all this sort of stuff. And they came back from an almost unattainable score, you know, to win it in the final dying moments. how dramatic, you know, all said and all preset, all scripted. And that's what I'm saying. Anything from here on in is going to be scripted. And we're ahead of the game. I advise people put money on if you want to. I don't give a shit for money, but put a few quid on Liverpool. Definitely to win the championship. But I'd say it was even the treble. 3 is the magic number. So I would say the treble, which is the league, the cup, and the European. I would go for as opposed to the league. I would go for the European Cup because this is a worldwide thing. But yeah, put a fiver on even. You know, put 2 quid on Liverpool doing the treble. You'll surely get 1,000 to 1. Whatever, you know, it doesn't matter. Go online. Actually, that's your best. Well, go online with someone reputable that they'll pay out if you want. I would have done a bet on Flat Earth Truth coming out ages ago. You had thousands to 1, but I just, you know, didn't. But anyway, they stopped taking bets on that. So, you know, they stopped taking bets that the Earth will be shown to be flat. I doubt if by the time they have to pay out, that they will need to pay out anyway, because again, everything will be changed and everything will be changing. I say we're into the last year, folks. And again, my date is 8/8. It has to be 8/8. Hidden hand, 8/8. It's the solution. It's the solution to the whole thing almost. There's only one or two little pieces, not little pieces, but one or two pieces to go, I think. But yeah, anyway. So here's the beautiful point. I've been saying ultimately 420. It's the most important number. Donald Trump, I knew he was going to be elected as president. And here he is now. What is it, about coming up to a year afterwards? And yeah, well, I mean, what do you make of that? What do you make of all of this? Like, you know, it's the madhouse. It's all crazy as crazy can be when you think about it. You think about all the different conspiracies, transgender, everybody's daughter, just the whole fucking shebang is just crazy. But again, we're analysts, we're overlooking this, so don't get too involved in it. You know, you have to know yourself. And another brilliant, this connects with when I'm going to show you the picture in a second. Yeah, it connects it all. It connects 9/11 to the Dodo, to Alice in Wonderland, to the North Wing Centre, to the ultimate great work. This is what it is. This is the puzzle to it. This is the answer to all of it. And oh gosh, I never saw that before now. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a sec. Right, sorry. Okay, get to the point, Pete. Donald Trump. So I knew he was going to be chosen for this. He talked about a majestic, on 9/11, the day of it, he talked about a majestic rebuilding. I think he mentioned 20 billion or something like that. So yeah, he was in the hopes. I knew he was president. I've been waiting for the longest time as well for this date. I knew there had to be a date fixed. It's not just going like this randomly or arbitrarily. I knew that from few different things as well, you know. And again, I'm just coming at everything from my own point of view. But yeah. So when it occurred to me, I said, "Fucking perfect." So I said we're in the 10, right? Anyone's been listening, I said we're in the 10. That's what the X is all about. Well, Donald Trump, right? Donald J. Trump, not just Donald Trump, Donald J. Trump. So let's just take Donald Trump. Well, we have the D for Donald, and we have the T for Trump. Can anyone do the gematria on that and tell me what comes straight up? You know, I'll give you a few minutes to let that sink in to make it easier. Donald J. Trump, the J in the center. The J is 10, right? The J is 10. A, B, C, D, etc. 1, 2, 3, 4. The J is 10. And what is 10 but X? You know. So that's what that tells me. It tells me absolutely on the right track, and it's all connecting nicely. It's very simple in one sense. Everything is leading back to the same things. I was thinking about beasts, the number of the beast being 666 today. Well, I talked about the church. I mean, the church are the enemy. They're hardly going to wish you well en masse. Because remember, we are so much more as well. So yeah, they're hardly going to wish you well if these are the enemy of the people that have been responsible for all of these horrors. Like, so when they bless you, they're saying, "Be less you, be less you," right? And somewhere inside, then you're taking that personally. And it's sort of cumulative. You add that to someone else putting you down in a different way, you know, and then it sort of manifests subliminally, and that's what I talk about, these subliminals as well. They hit you all of a sudden, and if you're not aware of the source of them, then you're sort of afraid and you're uncertain, etc. You're scared. It's like the devil, the picture of the flames in 9/11, complete CGI. You know, you watch the planes crashing, complete CGI. It was all done a year beforehand. Everything you saw on 9/11 was done a year beforehand. You know, so it's like seeing the flames there. If you didn't recognize what you're seeing, you just go, "Oh, that's terrible, isn't it?" And then you'd be home, you'd be having nightmares, or suddenly this devil face and the fires come in, and you'll go, "Fuck, what was that?" And then you'll attach it. Well, my mind was probably going into, you know, putting myself in a plane crash, and, you know, imagine what it was like at the last moments of life, you know, knowing that this horror was on its way to you, you know. But in reality, it would be a direct image flashing at you from the fabricated imagery that was presented to us. So it would hit you out of the blue, and it would have a powerful effect on you. Well, we've seen through all of these things now, so they lose their effect completely. All these subliminals, but yeah, you have to be aware of them for them to lose their power. Again, their power is catching you by surprise, and you not being able to make an association as to where the image originated from. So yeah. So that's Donald Trump, DT 420. D is 4, you got it by now. T is 20. That's 420 with an X, Donald J. Trump, X in the center. I kind of says it all. You remember I showed you the beer mat here? I actually have a flower of life drawn in that, because I just do that sometimes with beer mats. You can get many different patterns just for 2 beer mats, you know, 2 circular beer mats, one at the center, doing the flower of life around. So that's it. Let me just finish about that with the stars. So if the thing itself was moving around, and you were to take a pattern of a particular effect of the template itself, imagine I pinpointed loads of holes. I went to this last time as well. Imagine pinpointed loads of holes in this, right, and shone a light through it, and shone that light through on a concave surface. Or, you know, collapse, UFO types, yeah, where on the outer barrier, as I said. Can you imagine the type of effects you would get? So imagine all the different pinpoints of light in one form or another, and imagine the movements that they would trace out if the thing itself was moving. You would get exactly the same patterns, right? But you wouldn't be able to equate the two. That's why the stars are suns. Well, the stars are the sun. They're the interface of the sun. The sun's a lightsaber. It's on a floating. I know it sounds bullshit, like it sounds crazy. On a floating island in the North Center. You have all the tides twice a day, going in and coming out of the North Center. Simple as that. That's what's happening, and that's trillions and trillions and trillions of tons. Getting to the deeper mechanisms, we don't have to go there for the moment. But yeah, you have the sun moving around, and the 666, that's what I was getting to, the 666, so the B less, all these subliminals, the beast, right? The beast is subliminal in a different way. If you break it down in the same manner, you get the B, east. Well, is to be east? What is east? And what's pertinent in all of our lives? What could we not do without? The sun. Well, the sun rises in the east, doesn't it? So the B east is 666, right? The 666 is just a capital G. Think about a capital G and how you would draw it. It's drawn like that for specific reasons. Imagine a big whirlpool. Imagine a floating island. And imagine the tree. How would you describe the 3 different movements of that island as it was circling around? You know, with the flow, the ebb and flow. Well, yeah, you would have a sweeping movement, circular movement. Let me do it horizontally. Circular movement. You'd also have a vertical movement as the water drains away and comes back, you know, up and down. And then you also have a horizontal movement. Sorry, you have a sweeping movement, a vertical movement, and a horizontal movement. The horizontal is as the thing sweeps around, it will get ever closer to the draining point. So that's the 666. It's all about that. It's all about that. Devil is lived backwards. There is no guy with fucking horns. You know, we make the decision to be good or evil. We know the truth in our hearts, and if you dig back far enough, something horrible has always happened to somebody who has done something horrible consciously. You know, and their whole sense of what's right and wrong, it doesn't leave, but it gets garbled. You know, and it's one of those things as well. You can imagine, you can just imagine it. I mean, not that I've ever done any of these things. You know, we've all harmed people in terms of had fights, and you know, breakups and, you know, etc. You know, but when you get to the extreme cases, you know, we talk about murders and rapes and abuses and all this sort of stuff. Most of us can't go there, but you can imagine that it's going to be very difficult to kill your first person. You know what I mean? But after that, you know, you can see how it wouldn't be so difficult. And I'm sure any soldier will tell you that as well. You know, it'll tear the shit out of you the first time. But again, same with sexual abuse, same with child sexual abuse, same with rape, etc. The first one is the most difficult to deal with, you can imagine, and then after that, you know, I'm not going to say it's easy peasy, but you understand the idea here. So yeah, we are. Yeah, so there's no devil in that greater sense. It's just this illusion we're living under, as an illusion of separation for the most part. There's no difference between me and the best or me and the worst in one sense. You know, had I been exposed to exactly the same circumstances as maybe the worst, who's to say that I wouldn't have turned out worse again, or you wouldn't have? You know what I mean? So you can put the same in every situation. Who are the saints anymore? We can't go to the church for their saints. You can be sure that anyone they've put up on a pedestal doesn't deserve to be there. Doesn't deserve to be there in the first place. You know. So again, what's good and what's bad? Was Nelson Mandela good? Was Mother Teresa good? You know, was Jimmy Savile good? Why was Jimmy Savile associated with the Queen and Prince Charles and Prince Philip till his dying day? Why was it made public when they would have known whatever, you know, they would have known all the facts about him. They would have known these truths. And, you know, it's very bad for public relations to be seen, you know, dining it up with the biggest rapist and possibly murderer in English history. Yeah. Unless there's something else going on. It'd be interesting once I get to the Economist, we can see the Queen in her Land Rovers in the back. Also doesn't look like the Queen, so I think there's an actress. I think it's an acting role. So she is not as important as we all think she is. Again, we're standing in front of everything. We are the power, Alice, all of us. So that's what I wanted to say. That was my discovery. It was great. Donald Trump. So DT 420 with the X in the center. It's exactly what I said we're going through. It's all in preparation for 420. Just to say again, the 420 is a literal number of years. It was imagine you had a project and you're setting yourself a deadline, right? And you were going to sell it. It was such a great project. It was such a great work. You know, everything about that project you would encode somewhere or other. What greater work would there be? 420 is a number of years. Since the dodo was discovered, 1598 to 2018. So let's just finish on 2018. Yeah, I said 2 + 8 + 1 is 11, right? And that's what we're all about, getting to 11, 9 to 11. And it's not bypassing God. People talk about bypassing God. 10 is division. 10 is the binary code, the ones and the zeros. That's a separation, right? 11 then is the unification. And when I bring up the 9/11, One Trade Center, One World Center, I think it's called, is it? One Trade Center. You'll see how it's pertinent to all of this. Again, you take the literal but 9/11, you're lost. You're lost. You have no idea what's going on. You take the literal. I don't give a shit if you're in Judy Wood's camp. Dmitry Kalazov. Dmitry Kalazov? Dmitry. I thought about that ages ago as well. Dmitry. So we split a tree in half. Yeah, or doctored Judy Wood. Wood is, you know, we know what Wood is. So the suspicions that Judy Wood is a man as well. So I hear the likes of ISA and IPS laughing off now the people who are investigating transgenderism. Bullshit. Don't fall for that nonsense. Go over to fakeologist.com and look into the EGI investigation. And it's solid, you know, it's solid. So anyone who's writing off this sort of thing, ISA is behaving in some senses like a ball earther, you know. We just have to be aware of it. I'm not going to make any. I don't make any judgments on any man or any woman. But when there's an actor there, you have to call them out, because they're obstruct. They can help us to a certain point, but after a certain point, then they're obstructing our route forward. Not that we need to go too much further, anyway. So yeah, that's what I just wanted to say about 420 and Donald Trump. brilliant, beautiful tie-in with everything. And you can just say, oh, you're clutching at straws there again, Pete. Well, you know, as I said, I already knew I would have put the house on Donald Trump, knowing that he had a pivotal role to play in all of this. And as well as that, Back to the Future, 88, Hidden Hand connects with Donald Trump in the form of Biff Tannen in was it Back to the Future 2. So that's been much written about as well. This ties everything in together. It's all about a few things, all about the North Center. So where home is, you can go back whenever you want, but you have to know who you are. You have to know what the dodo is. You have to know, you know what I mean. You have to know these questions. So if I was met somewhere at the think about what you call that movie with the Life of Brian crew. It wasn't the Life of Brian. It was the one after that. Excuse me. It's not The Meaning of Life. No. It's you remember the Knights of Ni? And it was all about Arthur. Oh, look at that. All right, I said Arthur was already the. Oh, fuck it. It's another excellent one. I'll bring it up in a second. Arthur's already all got to do with the North Center. JFK was Arthur. Killing of the King. The Knights of Ni. What's the name of that? I'm not going to look that up now. I'm going to roll a cigarette and I'm going to work that out. It's I'm not going to say anything until I get that. Monty Python's Holy Grail. Fuck. Oh, another realization. The Holy Grail, the Holy G-Rail. What's a G-Rail? The G is about the sun. That's what I was explaining earlier on. The G is about the sun. It's about the three separate movements of the sun. It's a literal thing. And again, the sun is on a floating island, and it goes through these motions. And as we know, everything is pretty regular as clockwork. We can't go back beyond 420 years, though, because the sun didn't exist back then in that form. There was a complete barrier. And again, before that time had a different meaning. So, yeah, the Holy G-Rail, eh? The Holy G-Rail. What does that mean to you? Just to be more general, that's about the North Center. The Holy G, I said the sun is located at the North Center. King Arthur is associated with the Round Table, which is also associated with the North Center. So that's our home. That's where we can go back to. That's our quest. But you do meet, that's why I got onto this, the Holy Grail and Monty Python's Holy Grail. You do meet questions. They show that in the movie. I must re-look at that movie now again. So you do meet a series of questions at some sort of bridge point. You know, they call it the Frost Bridge or whatever. You do meet some sort of question. So I think you'll have to be sure of yourself and you have to be sure of your information, you know. And it's all pretty simple. It's all pretty simple, but pretty unbelievable at the same time. But you're not trying to convince anybody else except yourself. All of this stuff will resonate with you or not. If it doesn't resonate with you sooner, it will be later. It will be later. At this point, it's beyond any doubt at all for me that, you know, what I've been saying is correct. Because again, it's just supported from every avenue. I did mention the last time. You'll find that none of the flat Earth people I say are actors will touch the dodo. They won't even mention the dodo. It'll be the D word. Don't say the D word. It'll be like Patricia Steer has called me, that other person with the D model. You know, they won't be able to touch it because that's beyond their remit. That's beyond their remit. You'll find that a lot of these characters haven't changed their point of view one iota on lots of different things. So that will tell you that, look, you're dealing with the character. Don't get emotionally involved. Ultimately, why I haven't put out a model of the dodo, well, too bad, or maybe I might get around to it, and it's not going to be too difficult. It really isn't. really isn't. Just get the proper. So the dodo is a literal map of the Earth. It's the dodo Earth. That's what the turtle is looking for. The dodo. So the continents are proportionally scaled and sized and proportionally located. They're located in a fixed. Again, our flat Earth is stationary and fixed. So is the map going to be. So that's encoded within the dodo. I think if you start at the tip of the beak, that's the idea. You get South Africa, wrap it around the dodo, wrap around Mexico up to America, wrap around Europe, where you have all the connections, you see. So that's how it would work. You go around an anti-clockwise connect with the north, with the dodo, the wing being at the center, at the 0, 0 point. Remember, you have the dodo with a checkerboard dress, meaning that you have a checkerboard background. That is how to map a flat and stationary plane, and the type of coordinate system to use, which is a grid-like chessboard, checkerboard coordinate system. And again, Russia, China, Asia, will all wrap around the back of the dodo, around to the rear of the dodo, which is Africa, facing east to west. The Nile flows from east to west. Remember, the north center is just the 0, 0 point, just the origin point. It's there for reference only. And that's the map. That's the map. There's a bird always depicted over the back end of the dodo in official representations. Anyway, that's Australia. So again, the dodo is a step well beyond the Gleason's map. So once you get to the Gleason's map, then you get onto the dodo, and it requires a little bit of manipulation, but not too difficult. So that's that map. What about the barrier? Well, again, it's a dual barrier system. You go to the Orlando Ferguson map to see that. You can get your facts and figures from elsewhere as the actual contour. In other words, how low is the sky, the ionosphere at the 50? That's what they bounce things off. You can't just go up and bounce something off nothing. So there's something up there that shit has been bounced off. So you could find those figures. I think it's lower in the north. I've said this before. You have a Byball isolated system in the center. That's Genesis 1. That's everything intact, and then outside it's a broken system. But in terms of the outside barrier, again, think of a UFO looking down on it, and a flying saucer. You have the pod in the center, then everything else sweeping out around in that contoured fashion. Yeah, maybe it's 10 miles at the north. Starting off at the north, as the north wraps around, rising to 100 miles or 60 miles in the center around the equator, which is not the equator. It's more an oblong path. Down to, again, a lower barrier at the peripherals. The Orlando Ferguson map encodes that. That's your clue there is the roulette. Mark Sargent gave you that clue, of course. The roulette model, and 666. It adds up to 666. Which says you're on the right track. And then that little bit of decoding, just how do you flip it? How do you mirror it? The angels on both sides tell you. And then once you see how to flip it, then you can see the barrier taking its shape. Again, you're getting from a side view and top view, plan view, you're getting a flying saucer type of shape. So yeah, it's all together. That plops over the dodo then. This is all, we know that the sun travels in an elliptical fashion over a flat Earth as well. And this is what we sort of plant the pieces in place until we get a full and complete model. What else are we looking for? Yeah. So again, that's my idea. I can see that working exactly. I don't need to involve a Pac-Man model. Just have to get the continental arrangements properly scaled out, and I think that's what the dodo is. So once you have that, you plank the barrier over its north wing center, and ultimate forms the shape of again, just like the elliptical what do you call it, track of the sun. That's what we get. We get the eyeball. That's what the illumination involves as well. And also, where the capstone of the pyramid. Well, I talked about this, the capstone. What is stone? What is stone? Tone as well. So that comes into it is all vibration and frequency. But the capstone, yes. I remember I talked about the lightsaber. Well, the tree part was missing, the distribution system. The capstone is probably the same. That's what it represents. And that And that's where you have the eye as well. So it's going to complete the flat Earth, and then it will allow for illumination, and completion and unification, I guess, and repair. So great. Let me go for a little cigarette, and then I just want to show you something. Then, and I go into chat. So bear with me a second, and I'll be with you. I play another tune before it gets too late here. I played this before, but I liked it the last time. Usually you get to hear it here in Ireland when there's football games or something like that, which sort of ruins it really, because it's a pretty sad song, but or a slow song definitely, a poignant song, and it's when it's speeded up, it hasn't the same feel to it anyway. Anyone who knows it will understand. So anyway. By lonely prison walls, I heard a young girl calling. Michael, they have taken you away, for you stole Trevelyan corn, so the young might see the morn, and the prison ship lies waiting in the bay. Roll lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. By lonely harbor wall, I heard a young man calling. Nothing matters, Mary, when you're free. Against the famine and the crown, I fought, they caught me down. Now we must raise our child with dignity. Alone lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. Now it's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. By lonely harbor wall, she watched the last star falling, as the prison ship sailed out against the sky. For she loved to hope and pray for her love and godly day. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. Not so lonely round the fields of Athenry. The fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing. We had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely around the fields of that It's so lonely around the fields of that Yeah. Yeah. Fields of Athenry. I've sang it before, but it's a nice little song, isn't it? It's sad, but sure, what can you do? Our love was on the wing, eh? It's the first time I mentioned wings tonight. Won't be the last time, I should think, because they're so important. You get your wings as well. You get your wings. There's so many different connections that are there to be made, you know. And again, once you go beyond the dodo, you have to know about the dodo to go beyond it, though. And then it's pointing to the wing center. The dodo's wing is over the north center, so that's where the hidden hand emerges from. So it's all pertaining to the north center and the system. So you have to bear that in mind. If you want to move forward, you have to go along with certain things. You know what I mean? You can't just stop off and expect to follow, you know, later on down the line. You can't go, well, I'm not a flat earther, but I do know about the pole is dead puzzle, and you're talking shit. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? It won't go like that. You have to sort of know about the different things. And if you're fixed on one of the certain aspects, you definitely have to be prepared to change your mind. And when you do, it's inevitable to come around to my way of thinking, because it's a thread. It's like a maze. It's like the pathway that's left for you, and the string leads you out, and needs must. If you follow the string, you get let out. So it's the same here. So I'm confident enough to say that. Let me just before I go into chat, then let me just show you this. Get rid of that. Let me just show you this. Just notice this for the first time now. So let's what gives it that? Okay, so here's the dodo I picked. There seems to be some writing on the wing here. Honestly, I just noticed that for the first time. So I said I'd just put it up to see what it is. See if I can make some sense of it. It seems to be at his wing as well. Definitely have to have a closer look at that now. The full picture. I think I can make out U-S or, but I'm definitely going to have to look at that again. I also thought it might say ASAP. It could be that as well. Let me just zoom in a little bit more. It's one of those things, isn't it? There's definitely some sort of lettering coming through there, I think. So that'll be interesting now. That'll be interesting. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, I can almost see a 1 up here and a 6 upside down. Wow. So I'll have to definitely look at that a bit later on. Again, if this is subliminal, I want to know about it, like, or what's it trying to say to us? I've noticed to do that a lot. When I was doing the investigation into Obama being Osama, you find all of these little pictures and little writing, or these letters sort of vaguely placed within it. It's again, it's like the Sex in the Clouds with the scary faces in the efforts from NASA. All these things are put in for specific reasons, and they're there. Actually, I can see it down here as well. Look, just as I look in a certain way now, I'm going to mirror that in a few minutes. I can see more lettering down here. I want to get that picture up. I have that in in my folder, whatever, and I'm going to get that up and see if there's anything, if that's worth mirroring, or I can definitely see more lettering down here. Wouldn't it be it? Get the hell. Do you know what? Brilliant. I thought for a second, does that say USSR? And I just talked about a second ago. This is America. This is South America wrapping around, Mexico up here, America, North America, Canada, the North Wing Center, Alaska, and this is China, Russia. If that says USSR, I'll eat my hat. I can see a US and I can see an R. And I can see something here. I can see S like a 7 and a 0. And I can also see writing down here. I'm going to definitely look into that in a second now. What I wanted to do before I do anything else is let me stop sharing. Oh yeah, let me do that. Let me stop sharing and before I go into chat, just to show you how 9/11 ties into all of this. One Trade Center, I think it is. One Trade Center. Just try to get an appropriate view here. And again, you'll have to say it's indisputable. Anyone will do, really. Yeah, this one will be perfect. Don't need to go into too much detail. So I'm going to show you this now. Let me show you that. A bit dark here, is it? I can't really do much about that now, except when I don't see my face too much. Okay, let me share this. One Trade Center. I'll just show you how the 9/11 connects to the picture I'm going to show you. So we're familiar with this somewhat. Here's where the Twin Towers here, the memory pools. What I say is that they were brought down in one piece underneath the ground for dismantling. Everything we saw on TV was fake footage, pre-prepared, yeah, well in advance. And it was all of greater symbolic meaning. If you take the literal, you lose the meaning. We had two separate pillars, unbirthed, and in its place, you can say a unified whole. Now we take note of the upside down triangles, right? In unison and in perfect harmony. This is the male and the female coming together again. The division is done, you know. We look forward to a time of unification. So I know, yeah, everyone's familiar with that. It's another interesting point about the spike here, so I will mention that in a bit. Yeah, so here we can see the symmetry and the overall harmony between upside down triangles. And if you don't know what an upside down triangle represents, or upside down triangles represent, well, they represent the male and the female aspect. This is the male, the point. Oops. Brilliant. So that's another pointer. Okay, so that's going to connect now, and the upside down triangle then, this is the female aspect, and it's 2 in 1. This is what we are, you know, this is what this is what I think all the transgender stuff is about as well. There's the shock value. Forget about the shock value. I'm not interested in any of the shock value. The only thing I object to is the deception. You know, that's the only thing I object to. If I ask you a straight question and you give me an answer that I think is deceptive, I'm going to have to say that I think it's deceptive, right? What else can I say? Is it my fault for asking particular questions? I don't think so. I don't make any judgment on any man or woman, but if you're dealing with somebody, would you not want honest dealings? I think there's only only room for honest dealings on a flat earth, right? So, yeah, these are the only questions. So all this transgender stuff is all part and parcel of this. Again, we have to reconsider everything. We consider what's what is truth, what is real, who am I? And yeah, I say we're all born in Genesis 1, where we're just unified within. You know, it's 3 in 1. There's a man, woman, and child, all in the one vessel. That's what we are, you know. It's a trinity in a sense. It's all about you, you know, and then you have the flat earth. So it's a dual system, just like the checkerboard, the Masonic checkerboard. One represents a literal, you know, chessboard layout, in terms of coordinate system to map out the flat Earth, which is the dodo. And then you have the duality of man, you know, the fall of man, division, and subsequent and future unification. This is what it's about. So if we are judging from a point of view now that we know what's what, we know what everything is, we know what's normal, well then I think you're definitely going to have to look again. As the flat Earth has definitely taught you that we have to sort of be willing and be able to re-question everything on a fundamental level. So anyway, I've talked about. So you see that you get the gist there. You can be sure that the design is representative and nothing is incidental. So yeah, I've had those thoughts for the longest time. As I said, the two buildings were literally the 2 billions of separation, the 2 pillars of separation, the sun and the moon. That's what the sun and moon is. The sun is just an aspect of the moon, or the moon is just an aspect of the sun as it bounces around. So you're actually looking at the face of the interface of the sun when you look at the face of the full moon. I mentioned briefly about the different stars and then the patterns that they trace out in the sky. You know, there's a few ways of looking at it, but look upon it as one template. And the template itself moving, but light shall be broadcast through it. You know, this is what we're seeing. So nothing has an existence outside the sun, really. And again, it's all part of a broken system. And again, yeah, back to the earliest times. Rockabye baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall down. Little baby, cradle and all. Cradle is the barrier. It's all getting back to rebuilding the barrier. So yeah, bear this picture in mind. And let me I better do it properly now, just the way I make sure. So yeah, I could talk about this twin. I could talk about the symbolism behind 9/11 for a while, I guess, but you know, most people won't grasp it. But all I'm asking you to do now is just to see the upside down triangles here and see them in a unified whole, you know. So we move back to here. So now let me go to here, and then I go into chat. Now we go to The Economist. And I've been speaking about Alice. Alice is all of us, right? Alice is all of us. Let me just note down and zoom in by Alice here. So I already said Alice is all of us. When I was reading Alice in Wonderland, I realized that. We said that, you know, there's no sex to Alice. There's no age to Alice. It's like she's androgynous and ageless. Couldn't tell whether it was a man, a woman, a boy, or a girl. Well, that's all of us in one. So if we look at Alice and her leg here, someone drew that in purposely, right? Actually, do you know what I'm going to do now? Sorry now, bear with me a second.